So guys, another community update. Now we have the community update number 9. This is where they basically have an article built by or manufactured by the community managers to connect us, the community, with the devs to show what they are working on, okay? So it's a wrap up of, here, little things here, bigger things there that they're working on, okay? So let's talk about the most interesting ones and of course do a wrap up of what they are talking about in this article. By the way, the article will be in the link in the description together with the link for the Discord as well, where we got the leaks yesterday, okay? So let's start. First of all, I want to talk about the next patch, like vehicles, right? They talk a lot about hints that they're giving about certain vehicles that might come, but they say that they're gonna save up the best ones, the headliners, for the trailer, of course, and the upcoming dev server. They normally do that, so it makes sense. But they are talking about how they're planning to add a handful of advanced SAM systems. It means several nations will probably get a new AA system that it's a SAM, right? They talk specifically about how the Japanese and the Swedes will receive one each, right? I don't know about the Swede one, if you know what that means, let me know in the comments. But if you take a look on the leaks, the Japanese one is probably the type 03 Shusan, right? I'm probably butchering that name, but you get the point. The new advanced AA system, multi-vehicle AA system for Japan. Also, they say some interesting light vehicles will be added. I would assume that means the Freccia Hit Fist OWS that was leaked, or the Ajax, something like that as well, right? In the naval part, they also mention some obscure and famous naval additions, including some big names that people will recognize, like state names and stuff, and some rare vessels as well. I don't know about the rare vessel, but the state name, it probably is the USS South Dakota that was leaked as well. So yeah, and last but not least, they're talking about aircraft, right? How there will be an unusual experimental bomber. Probably this is the BLK that was leaked, in the data mines. Actually, it was data mine that it was added in the actual, files for the dev server in the last dev server, and then it got removed later. But still, it is pretty interesting. And then they say that aviation in general will receive a lot of things that you should expect. So we won't have to wait too long, they say as well. And yeah, so these are the hints that we got for the new vehicles. Nothing too specific, but you can draw some, ideas here. Then, guys, they talked a little bit about bomber cockpits. Yes, bomber cockpits, guys. It's something that they never really dove down too much on it. But yeah, they are working on the B-25 series, which has plenty of variants, right? And they are working on a proper cockpit for these series of bombers. And that they are gonna work on more bombers in the future as well. You can see some of the images there. That they are working on, which is great. Hopefully, Gaijin continues to do this. As they even say on the actual article, right, that the details is what make War Thunder special, right? This type of thing is very well welcomed, right? It really does help the game, these little things. So yeah, bomber cockpits coming, specifically the B-25 in this update, probably, I would assume, right? So, yeah. Then they talked a little bit about the end of the year winter event. Yes, we will have the winter event with 4 vehicles. They confirmed that it will have 4 vehicles, but before we get to that winter event, we will have a dedicated naval event for a Soviet boat. So, apparently, we will have 2 events starting on December, right? First of all, a dedicated naval Soviet, and then later, the actual big winter event with 4 vehicles that will include, for sure, another boat, but also aircraft and tank. They talked a little bit about how there is the Q&A with War Thunder game director Vyacheslav Bulanikov coming very soon. So they say to keep an eye on the YouTube channel. I will be covering that when the time comes, right? But yeah, at least they confirmed that they are working on it, and it is soon to come. Another thing is that they actually reflected a little bit on the Bullet Hell event. This was the event where you could only use guns on higher tier jets, right? And basically they say how they are very happy that everybody enjoyed, and it was amazing. Please, Gaijin, continue to do this type of experimental things. it really puts a perspective on what the game needs sometimes to be amazing, right? But yeah, they thank everybody on, you know, the opinions and everything. And also, they say a little bit that they're gonna tweak a little bit of that game mode and reintroduce it in some form in the future, okay? In the meantime, they will also keep working on similar experimental modes as well. The more experimental modes, like I said, the better, so very welcome. Then we have some other little things here and there that are very, very important. First of all is that they are testing a new matchmaking system to avoid repetition of maps, right? They say that it's already implemented in the game right now, it's already working, and to be honest, I noticed that it wasn't, we are not getting repetition in maps so often as before, right? So basically what they're doing here is that the matchmaking system, the matchmaking in the server, will take into account all the maps that were played by the players that are trying to get into a match previously, right? And it will try to draw a map that wasn't used by any of the players. Of course, it isn't perfect, and sometimes it will, you know, there's complications with this, queue times and everything, but they say this is how it should work. And with this, they already said that they implemented and they are testing on the live servers already. And they say that this repetition of maps was decreased by 10 times, more than 10 times, they even say. So it is a pretty good system, and it really does help. So very good to hear this. Of course, this is not for these updates in particular, right? Because it was already technically implemented. But they say how they're improving it and making it better as well. Another very interesting thing is that they plan to add a ground, arcade, and realistic lineup change. So, do you know when, you know, for example, a player, and there is many of those, who are trying to grind a tech tree and they buy a premium vehicle, right? And they have only one tank to spawn in, for example, right? And with that in mind, even with the free backups that they just added, we still have some problems with players just not going through the whole match, right? Basically, they die one time, and then they have to, because they don't have, or two times, but they don't have anything else to spawn in, they have to leave the battle. This is the problem, because it creates a, you know, an unbalanced situation of lineups between teams sometimes, right? And it's unexpected, and it is a really big problem, I think, in ground battles in general. So to fix that, to try to fix that, between certain BRs and stuff, they're gonna talk a little bit more about this. They're gonna test on the dev server, etc. They plan to add a system where you are gonna receive extra tanks even if you don't have them researched to actually, you know, play with the vehicles. So, for example, if you are in a 9.7 to 10.7 match and you only have one vehicle, for example, you will be able to spawn in a vehicle that is 9.7 to 10.3 BR. So you're gonna gain basically on the lineup in the same way that you gain like the drone, right, in the lineup when you get into a match, or even the aircraft in naval battles. You're gonna, in the lineup itself, is gonna have a button for you to click where you have a way to spawn in with an extra vehicle, even if you don't have that vehicle, right? So that really helps a lot of the new players for the new nations that they're trying to get in. And of course, if you have the premium vehicles, it helps you a lot to not just die and have to leave, because even then you lose a lot of rewards, right? So it's a pretty interesting system. Hopefully it gets you know, properly implemented, because it does have a chance of being pretty good. And then some naval stuff. I don't know much about naval, so I'm gonna just talk a little bit on what they're talking about here. One of the changes is that they're gonna refine the rewards and how damage is calculated by changing how the damage is right now, which is taking into account the parts of the ship, the sections of the ships, and the crew, you know, a number. But changing that from that to being completely tied to the crew number. Okay, so the rewards and everything, it will take into account the crew that you killed to get the reward. So that's how it's going to be calculated. It's a little bit more clear, they say, and it is going to be a little bit easier to understand with higher rewards as well. I don't know much about this, but you tell me in the comments if you like or not this change. Another thing is that they are adding the severe damage system for naval battles. So it's going to work in a similar way for aircraft, but a little bit different. So the idea here is that it will be credited to the player that causes a 50% crew depletion to a ship, right? Once that happens, you will get the like half of the kill reward, right? And if somebody, kills the target, finishes off the target, you will get the kill count as well. But the main difference here is that unlike, the main difference from aircraft is that a ship won't be written off, right? So if a severely damaged, ship is just there, and the match is over, it's not gonna be counting a kill. While in an aircraft, it counts as a kill. Okay, so that's the main difference, but it works in a similar way. And the last thing for ships is that they're gonna add a new battle award called Heavy Damage. So the idea here is that sometimes you're doing a lot of damage to battleships and cruisers, especially these big ships. Only for these ships, this will work, okay? And sometimes you don't get the rewards that you are accustomed to because they're like very big. So it takes like almost, 3 people sometimes to kill one ship, let's say, right? So to kind of have a more rewarding experience and also more rewards in general, they're gonna add this heavy damage battle award, right? So once you cause 30% of crew depletion on a large vessel, cruiser or battleship, and it gets destroyed, you get this extra reward, right? So it helps a little bit to be a little bit more fun and also a little bit more rewarding on the terms of RP and stuff, I would assume, right? And that's it. They wrap it up saying Happy Christmas, basically, stuff like that, right? That they're gonna be doing more stuff next year and everything. This is going to be the last community update, of course, of this year. And then they include the pack that you can buy for $3.99, which has the top secret avatar frame, the top secret decal and the top secret title and 300 golden eagles, okay? And basically this is it, so nothing too crazy, a little bit less of a giveaway than the last one about the patch that it's coming, but it's still pretty interesting, right? And of course, remember guys, you can have some decals that you can get by simply entering a code in the links that are there. So go out there, the links will be there, and then there is a code, you enter that code and you get some decals as well. The secret documents decals, the Nigel was here decal, so you can get those, okay? So I see you guys on the next one. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, always helps a lot. Become a member, become a patron if you want to help the channel, and join the Discord to help it out as well. See you guys on the next one, and bye.